All right. Well, hey everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are. Welcome to Loot Town Square number 18. I'm your host, Andrew Gould, and my co-host is here, Tim Shell, the historian, and
GM.
GM. And we're excited. We got another busy, packed week this week of a ton of great new and interesting projects. I'm going to read the agenda. We're not necessarily going to go in this order, I don't think, but here they are. We have The Rift from Dude, Grand Bazaar Project from Black Mamba, The Tabletop, Loot D&D from Stellaris, The Meta Dungeon, Autonomy Network from Cara Luna. I think we're going to start with music for the Lootverse from A. Glossolaliac. Hill is going to present a roadmap for Adventure Gold in 2022. Nuix will present on Portals and Passages. Sportsbeard will give an update on The Crypt Chapter 3. And Michael will tell us about Helms for Loot. So with that, why don't we get started and listen to some music for the Lootverse from Glossolaliac.
Okay, cool. Hey, I'm going to share my screen. I'll also keep it quick because I know there's a lot going on today. Okay, entire screen. I always get so nervous with my screen shares because I'm terrible at it. Okay, can you see like the Google Slides right now?
Yep, looking good.
Okay, sweet. Okay, cool. So yeah, I've just been kind of tinkering around the kind of Lootverse for the last 2 months or so, trying to find like my, major loot project. I have since found it, but I had all these like little parts that I had kind of like worked on that I figured it'd be better to just like share. So I'm just going to kind of share a few of those, contextualize them a bit, and then talk a teeny bit about music in the Lootverse. And yeah, for those that don't know me, I am a Glossolaliac. I am a musician, so a classical pianist, a singer, songwriter, producer, composer, and I'm also a writer, poet, and then I do some like weird art theory stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah, so as a musician in the Lootverse, I've kind of encountered this funny issue is that there's like so many opportunities to make music here, and it's something that like one musician cannot fill, and in the future it's something that dozens of musicians won't be able to fill, which is pretty incredible and exciting, but also kind of an interesting problem when you consider like how you can create like a sonic and thematic cohesion for this world. Yeah, here are some just music that I'll share today, and then I can talk a little bit about how we can kind of craft that cohesion. Okay, so the first thing I want to just mention as a just like a nice little film class 101 distinction is this difference between diegetic and non-diegetic sound. I really hope I don't mix up the two right now, but pretty much it's this distinction between sound that occurs within the world, and then sound that is kind of like this like layer on top of the world. So, for example, in Star Wars, the bleep bloops and the lightsabers and the cantina band are diegetic sound. They happen inside the world, but the John Williams score, is happening outside of that world. That's the non-diegetic sound. Luke Skywalker doesn't hear da 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 da, when he pulls out his lightsaber or whatever. So I have some, I guess, diegetic and non-diegetic music and sound for y'all. Okay, cool. Another interesting little film school 101 thing that I feel like is pretty relevant to the Lootverse is this idea of the leitmotif. It's something that you encounter in all the kind of open worlds and music projects that we all love. It's the fact that every single time a theme is repeated, and it's repeated inside like a new context, that theme gets packed in with like more and more significance and meaning to that world, right? Take the Star Wars example. You hear the love theme a second time, but this time it's slower, it's in a different key, and it's with a different character. All of a sudden that that theme is like ever more powerful. So it's a very interesting question when you think of the loop verse, is like, how can we have a kind of repetition of thematic elements, and how can they show up in all these different projects so that we can create this like ever expanding network of meaning, and also kind of help achieve like an iconic status for the music in the loop verse. Okay, it's cool. So yeah, I will kind of link to it at the end of my ramble here. But what I have is just like a handful of CCO themes, melodies, leitmotifs for anybody to kind of pick up and use. I've recorded all of them on piano. They're kind of very, very spare. I haven't added any instrumentation whatsoever, just because I want people to be able to hear them and then be able to imagine how they could be recontextualized different, given different instrumentation and all that. So yeah, I'll kind of just rattle off the titles and then I'll share the themes in the chat afterwards. There's one called Canyons. There's some NPC music. There's one called Dungeon Level. These titles are kind of a little arbitrary, but fun. And then I have an attempt at a bit of like a kind of a loop verse title theme music that you'll hear at the beginning of the YouTube video. So that should be fun too. Okay, cool. So the second little thing I wanted to share was some diegetic sound. Sound that happens like inside of the loop verse. Like an idea for a project that I can't do because I've since found my large work, but something that someone could kind of pick up would be a kind of sample pack of sounds that are native to the loop world. It's something interesting. It's a problem that you kind of come up when you start making sound for inside of the loop. You realize that every single decision you make when you make a sound is like a major storytelling decision, right? Like if you make a sound that has like bleep bloops in it, then you've made some like big move that says like in this corner, of the atlas, these people have like some primitive like computation or something, right? So it's kind of like an interesting design space in terms of crafting sounds. And then additionally, the more we can have this like ever larger repository of CCO themes and CCO sounds, it just means that projects that don't have the budget or time to kind of like create a bunch of sounds or a bunch of music for their work have this like sample pack of stuff that they would be able to just kind of pick up, use, and run with. So I think that'd be something that's useful for the loop verse. I have one sound that I'm sharing with y'all. I will say that it occurred here in the Bay of Fate. I won't tell you what made the sound. It's context whatsoever. That's kind of up for y'all to decide. But this is where it took place. It's lurking there. Okay, cool. And then the last little note I wanted to kind of mention, which is like kind of cool, as I kind of work towards my major project here, is just how actually like integral sound is to lute. This is, kind of diving deeper and deeper into the contracts. And it's really, really cool once you get closer into the suffixes that you realize that not only are there like a ton of words within, the OG contract that like suggest soundscapes, but there are a ton of like actions in the most mysterious parts of the contract that suggest like directly sound. I really think there is like some like mystical significance to like the story that's unfolding here that really kind of deeply implicates sound and music. So yes, I'm like really excited to watch all of that unfold. So in full sort of music, next week I'm going to be sharing a song and like the character. So I'll just kind of link to the lyric sheet for that song. And if you like anything that you hear and you want me to kind of help on your project to do sound, music, poetry, or whatever, and you can pay me. I am able to work for hire, collaborate in any kind of context. So yeah, that's it. Oh, I think I did that pretty quick. Okay, cool. Ta-da. Thanks, guys.
Well, so Oliak, thanks for sharing. Do you have any sounds that you want to just play for us, just to get us all in the mood here?
Discord chat, and people can kind of just run through them at their own time. I don't know how it's going to work with the screen share and stuff. I got to set that up.
Cool. Okay. No worries. That sounds good.
Sweet.
Thanks for sharing. I love to see projects like that emerge from the fabric of the contract itself. I doubt Dom layered sounds in there on purpose, but also maybe he did. And whether he did or not, it's all in our minds. And so whatever we manifest into the world becomes real. Hey, I heard something there. Do you have something you want to share? I can hear your audio.
That might have been a loud car blasting its horn outside.
Amazing. Like I said, whatever we believe becomes true.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You heard it here first. There's cars in the loopers.
Take that sound and make it a snippet for like a call to arms, the war trumpet.
Oh, man. Funny. Sweet, thanks for sharing. Hey, dude, are you ready to hop in? Or do you want us to keep going?
Yes, I'm ready as I'm going to be. All right. Shall I start?
Welcome back. We're so excited to hear what you're working on.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Let me get my presentation up. We got quite a few things to share. Let's see. I think last time I tried this, it didn't work, but let me try one more time and see if this does work. Oops, not that slide. Wait. If I go into presentation mode, do you all see the presentation, or did my screen go away?
I see it.
I see it.
You see it?
Yeah.
Oh, you do see it. Okay, awesome.
Although it's not showing in presentation.
Oh, okay. How the heck? I think I just need to share my whole screen is what I did last time. That worked. Cool. Okay, so now you all see it, right?
Yeah, we can see it full screen.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, let's get started. So I'm Dude, and me and Boolean have been working on the Rift since September. It's been a fun ride. If you aren't familiar, I'm going to go a little bit into kind of what the Rift is, just to do a quick recap. But this presentation is going to have kind of two parts to it, which is just an update as to the current state of the Rift, and then I'm going to kind of formally introduce mana crystals to the community and tell you guys what they really are about and how to use them. If you don't know already, the Rift is a solution to the loot value paradox. That paradox occurs when we go out into the lootverse and mint and play with a bunch of cool projects. When a bag interacts with those projects, it has to spend its value to interact with it. Therefore, bags that are most active lose the most value, and yet these are the bags that create the most value in the ecosystem. Meanwhile, the bags that sit around and do nothing gain the most value due to the potential energy that the derivatives or loot extensions create. So how do you fix that? We address it with soulbound XP, or experience. The Rift is an XP and leveling layer on top of loot. It provides a mechanism for loot projects to award the bags for the value they create, and to recognize the bags that have created value elsewhere in the lootverse. Since launching a few months ago, the only way to earn experience for your bags has been through our own Mana Crystals project. Here you can see it from our web UI. Bag 1313 would earn 80 experience for making a new crystal. We've had some really good reception from new project creators. Some people are already working on integrating with the Rift experience and leveling system. I am really happy to announce that Helms, which I believe they're talking later, will be the first project outside of the Rift that awards experience directly into bags for Loot and Genesis Adventures. However, Loot bags have been active in the Lootverse all the way since September. There's been a bunch of really cool things that have come since then, and we want to make sure we capture that value too. So today we're introducing historical XP. Loot bags have been growing the Lootverse by creating characters, distilling Genesis mana, raiding the crypt, the list goes on. And because all this happened on chain, we've been able to take a snapshot of loot bag activity across some of the biggest, exciting, and classic projects. The projects we captured are lootability scores, abstract loot, the crypt, chapters 1 and 2, crypts and caverns, Genesis projects, that includes Genesis mana distillation, Genesis adventurer naming, loot characters, loot explorers, loot mart, realms, rings for loot. If your loot bag, M-Loot, or Genesis Adventurer wasn't used with any of these projects before our snapshot about 10 days ago now, that bag now has experience to claim in the Rift. This marks the first season of Historical XP. We've already got plans in the works for the next season, which is going to include governance, amongst other things. The Historical XP site also doubles as a loot high score leaderboard, where you can explore the bags with the most experience as well as claim experience for your eligible bags for just gas. And yeah, that's the state of the union for the Rift. So I think I can pause here for a second to take any questions if anyone has anything about historical experience or anything like that.
So we can go claim that right now?
You can go right now and claim it, yeah. You can just go to rift.live or rift.live/leaderboard, and that's live. And we will be. So it's important to note that leaderboard is not live. So we have to update it with like a snapshot of activity. We plan to do that about every week or so. So you'll see it change and morph as more people get involved and go into other projects. We're excited to add Hyperloop. In the next iteration as well, so that's going to be there. That's live right now.
Are there levels associated with the XP live on the site as well, so you can see what level one bag is?
No, they are not. We can add that for sure.
It's there in the contract.
It's in the contract. Yeah, you can look up a specific bag by ID in the Rift data contract, and it will tell you the level of the bag. But basically, bigger XP number, bigger level. Simple as that. It's worth noting. I believe there's one level 10 bag, if I'm not mistaken, out of all of these. So that there isn't. The level range isn't like that crazy. There's not like a level 50 bag or anything like that.
With the governance stuff that you're working on in the future, will that be a way for other projects to basically propose, hey, for this event, there should be this much XP issued?
No. Well, specifically around governance, I mean literal participation of governance within Loot is what we're going to award experience. The second point you bring up is something we are going to address. We've been working with Loot Hero and some other Loot people to come up with what we think is the right system for how does someone propose experience. We want to work towards a trustless system where you don't need our approval to go and do stuff. You just need to do things, and experience will come automatically. That's the end goal. But right now, it is a manual process. There is balancing associated with it. So the awards that we're doing, we're not claiming that we got this 100% right with what we're addressing, what we're giving out per mint across all these different projects. But we're going to be consistent as we can be, and proactive to modify the system to make it sustainable long term.
That makes sense. Yeah, this is cool. I really like the idea of just like XP for what's happened, and it seems like applicable to basically everything that happens on chain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think governance would be the least ideal. Like it would be like the fail safe if we had to use governance to decide who gets XP, which projects. I think there is a solution here where if you just watch to see what all the loot bag holders and loot GAs, if you just watch to see what contracts they're interacting with, you can kind of almost derive this live, right? Like if someone like the Crypt launches a project, you can see it on chain that all the loot people just start going over and using this, and you can calculate the percentage of loot adventurers that interact with something, and that can factor into the equation for how much XP is gained. I think if we can pull that off, this whole thing's autonomous and scales on its own. Like it can just be set it and forget it, and that would be really cool. But if we can't pull that off, governance might be another solution, but less ideal in my opinion.
Yeah, it's making me think of like clustering or like graph density stuff and sort of like ML models for social networks.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, well, so I guess I will move on to mana crystals. So, really, mana crystals is kind of the other end of where this experience leads to, right? So, all this is finding activity and distilling it into some number of activity. But how do we kind of take that a step further and actually use the value that those bags have created and apply that to projects? So Mana Crystals is essentially a prototype for that model. We launched Mana Crystals at the same time as Rift, but haven't really put it in the spotlight. That's because at our initial launch, we were targeting creators. But now that we have historical experience out and outside ways of earning experience are coming, we kind of want to formally introduce Mana Crystals to the community. So I'm going to try to convince you of two things here. First is that Mana Crystals is a first-of-its-kind hyperverse resource management game, and it outputs a proof of participation token. To get started, you need to make your first Mana Crystal. Just head over to our site, you select bags or crystals in the top right, follow the prompts, and you pick your favorite bag. You'll pay a little bit of ETH, 0.04, and you get your first crystal plus 1,000 mana, which is a ERC 20 token. Here's what like a crystal looks like. So it's an ERC 721 that produces mana, a proof of participation token. Mana crystals fit DOM's 3-star on-chain rating, meaning all their data is stored on-chain. They have an on-chain renderer, and they have a bunch of random traits like color, slabs, and unique names. This Mana Crystal is like a higher attunement one, so it just means it has more slabs and kind of looks really cool. It also has an upgradable renderer, which means that their look might change over time. Mana Crystals generate mana every day. The amount they create per day is determined by something we call resonance. For example, this crystal generates 40 mana per day. The resonance 40 per day. It's kind of simple as that. If you leave a crystal alone for a few days, it'll sync up with the rift, like this. The number of days it takes for a crystal to sync is equal to its level. If any action is taken on the crystal, it will reset. A little note here, the crystals say focus. Eventually that's going to say level. It was a little bit too confusing. So that's going to say level eventually, but in all our web UI, we will use the word level to tell you what the level of the crystal is. Obviously, that's what we should have done in the first place. If a crystal is left alone too long, it will stop producing mana. That's because crystals have a mana capacity called spin. This one here has a spin of 60, and since it produces 20 mana per day, it will stop producing mana after 3 days. So resonance 20, spin 60, 20 times 3 is 60, no more mana. You can perform 3 different actions with a crystal. The first and most basic is you simply claim the mana it's generated. Here you can see on our web app our crystal UI and the available options you can take with the crystal. Those are the different actions. If we claim the mana on this crystal, the 288 mana that's stored on the crystal would move into our wallet. Let me go back real quick. 288 mana. Yeah. So if we claim that, that would go into our wallet. And it would be removed from the crystal, and now the crystal could start producing mana again. The second most common action is to level up a crystal. Leveling up requires that the crystal be synced, so that's kind of this white state. When you level up a crystal, its level goes up by 1, and its resonance and spin increase. Here's the before and after of a crystal after it's been leveled up. Its resonance is increased to 72 from 48, and its spin has gone up to 648 from 288. Also note that the leveled up crystal is no longer synced. So like I said, if you take any action on a synced crystal, it resets and becomes unsynced. The last action you can take on a crystal is to sacrifice it. Mana crystals are connected to the rift through sacrifice, and that's where we'll see bags and experience make an entrance into the mana crystal experience. When I select sacrifice on the web UI, I'm presented with this menu. When you sacrifice, you're venturing into the rift to destroy this crystal that you've nurtured. Here we see the awards I'm gaining for sacrificing. I get some experience and some mana. I could select any of my loot bags, M loot or G loot, that I own, and they will be the recipient of the experience. It's like that's the bag that I'm taking and venturing into the rift to destroy this crystal. The amount of rewards I receive here are based on the level of the crystal. So we encourage you to spend the time to level up the crystal and make it produce more mana, or you consume the mana to level it up, and then when it's a higher level, you can destroy it, and you'll get more experience for spending that time with that crystal. So we can sacrifice a crystal to add power into a bag, but how do we use the power from the bag itself to create a crystal? That brings us to crafting and the awesome functionality the Rift unlocks. Let's take one step back and see how we use bags on our web UI to understand. So here's a little quote from our Crystal Codex. So on our web UI, when you go look at a loot bag, here's a more loot bag, and what that bag looks like on it. Here's a more loot bag, and what that bag looks like on our website. By now, I hope you understand what experience and level represent. That's the activity that bag has had across the lootverse. Those things come directly from Rift data. And now with the release of historical experience, those numbers are a representation of the bag's activity. Any project that builds on top of Rift data has access to this information. But what are these things down here? They're called Rift charges. They're a soul-bound currency used to craft mana crystals. Bags create this currency as they level up. They're not in the Rift data contract, but we derive them from the exact same information. So you see, we use the bag's data directly from the Rift and designed a unique currency that's specific to our project. When I select one of these Rift charges in the UI, I'm presented with this. This shows that I'm making a new crystal and paying for it with 300 mana and a Rift charge. I'm also earning a little bit of experience. What isn't so obvious is how the Rift is dynamically altering these costs and rewards based on the bag's level. I think this piece is really special and highlights the power the Rift unlocks to create unique experiences based on a bag's proof of participation. After we complete that action, we're back right where we started, with a brand new crystal. Our bag has used up a Rift charge and gained a little bit of experience. So you see, bags don't ever lose the ability to create more crystals, but through the cycle of creation and destruction and exploration of the broader lootverse, they can earn the ability to create more crystals, and not only new ones, but more powerful crystals. Notice the attunement matches the level of the bag that created it. Attunement is imprinted onto a crystal when it's created. It represents the power of the bag that was used to craft the crystal. Attunement is power, and it improves the other properties of the crystal. attunement scales the resonance and spin values of a crystal, allowing them to create more and store more mana. It also increases the experience awards during the sacrifice action. A crystal's attunement can't be changed once the crystal's created. And now I think I can sort of take a step back to sort of try to illustrate how this whole system works. So here we just have the beginning. There's bags, and now the rift kind of encompasses all of them. They're all level 1. Mana crystals comes into the system, and
How's it going?
How are you?
Fine. How you doing?
Good morning. How's it going?
okay, so mana crystals comes into the picture. Now these bags can craft these crystals, and you can see those are some attunement 1 crystals, and mana gets introduced into the ecosystem. Then people can go and do whatever they want with the mana crystals, level them up, claim mana. Now those crystals have changed a little bit. That first one is now a level 5 crystal, and then you can sacrifice them into the original bags that made them, or any other bag, really, doesn't matter. And now we have some proof of participation that these bags were out and about doing things within the world. At the same time, a bag can go into the lootverse and just go do some other stuff and play around with other projects that either are in historical experience or support the Rift in whatever way. And now that bag has leveled up, and now they can start the cycle again and craft new crystals, but now they're more powerful, and they basically can produce more mana, and obviously we consume mana to make this process happen, and it's like a crazy, convoluted system of energy capture, basically. So I know it's pretty complicated, but hopefully I got you a little bit closer to believing these wild ideas. That Manning Crystals is actually a hyperverse resource management game where you have to manage rift charges, mana, crystals, and time to make progress efficiently, all while effectively taking advantage of your bag's level progression opportunities across the broader lootverse. And that if Soulbound experience is the measure of how much value a bag has created, then mana is the distributable expression of that value. It's proof of participation. And before I wrap up, I just want a quick thing. I want to go over how we see mana fitting into the lootverse as a whole. First, I think a successful mana experiment is one where the token remains inflationary, and the value belongs to the bags that create it, and not the token itself. Next, mana should be used as a resource. It should be easy come, easy go. Its inflationary nature should motivate people to burn it or transform it to create new things. And one more thing, quest. So we're launching a quest for mana today, where these two objects are available for in pseudo swap. 500,000 mana and 1,000,000 mana. It's a lot. I think it's going to play out over a few months, but you can go and buy these objects with mana today if you could accumulate enough mana. And that's kind of the introduction of mana crystals to the lootverse, and I hope you guys check them out. And that's it. Any questions? Oh, check out our Discord to get the links to these pseudo swaps.
Dude, that's a pretty fun, casual little drop there at the end in terms of a real-life quest with serious and significant prizes.
Yeah, so, I mean, those are pretty good ones, and I think that their value should be increasing as the quest plays out, so I think they should be intriguing, and we hope people kind of go in on them.
Since you didn't say them out loud, just for those of you who might be listening to this asynchronously on the podcast or YouTube later, he has a secret treasure chest with a loot bag and a blit knot inside of it, with which I guess you can open it with the key of mana.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah, we have a loop bag and a blit knot up for grabs.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Congrats, man, for getting this out the door. I know you've been spending nights and weekends and so much energy, probably emotional energy and physical energy on this. So congrats on getting this out. This is super cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is really inspiring. Can you link to the Discord in the chat in the channel?
Yeah.
There's also a Rift outpost, so if people have questions or want to do just light back and forth or just sort of open community discussion about this, you can do it in the Rift outpost right here. And then to dive in further, obviously, hop into the Discord.
Oh, that's the one.
I just posted a link in the general chat too. So earlier today, I submitted a proposal to the Genesis community to fund a 7 Genesis mana pseudo swap for 250,000 a mana, which is adventure mana. So yeah, this would potentially create like a small, medium, large with like 7 Genesis mana for 250, a loot bag for 500,000, and a million, or a blip knot for 1 million adventure mana. I think right now the largest 8 mana holder has like 16,000. And most people have under 1,000. So, and with this retroactive airdrop, the amount of XP that most of us probably just received in our loot bags will level up our bags well beyond anyone has achieved to date. And therefore, when you create mana crystals now, they're going to be producing significantly more mana than has been possible in the past. So, if you haven't joined the Rift yet, you're definitely not late. I mean, with that historical XP airdrop, check your bag rating, and if you're receiving, even 800 XP, which some people are receiving like 2,200 if they interacted with all of the previous loot projects, you're going to be reaching a bag level that probably exceeds what most people are on today. So, you're definitely not late. If you're hearing this now, check your bag level and hopefully game on. The Genesis community is still voting, so we don't know if that one will go through. But the Rift definitely is putting that loot bag and the Blit knot up. So game on.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's a great point. It's the historical XP, like Lou Hero said, is really just blows this whole thing wide open for anyone to come in and have a shot at getting it.
This is a crazy thought, dude. Loot obviously is not an upgradable contract, but OpenSea did come in over the top with some custom traits, even though they weren't necessarily made directly available. I wonder if OpenSea could almost put, we have to obviously vote, but like to put a XP level as a direct trait on the bags on OpenSea.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a crazy thought. Maybe that's technically not possible, but that would just be an amazing sort of connection of composability between projects.
That would be awesome. I am not familiar as to how the OpenSea API would surface that, but it should be possible. It's just a simple read on the Rift data contract.
I think if the bag level became important enough, even if OpenSea didn't do that, we could definitely do that on Loot Exchange. And if it was important enough, I think that would drive more people to Loot Exchange because they'd want to see that data, and OpenSea didn't have it. So that might be a cool opportunity to drive more usage of Loot Exchange, which, of course, captures value for the Loot ecosystem rather than that going out to OpenSea royalties.
Yes, absolutely. In other words, good idea, bro, but let's do it a different way, which is a much better idea. Absolutely, we should do it your way. And honestly, I don't know if Jason and Crew's on the call, but that's something we could do probably pretty easily since it doesn't require somebody outside the Lootverse taking any actions. That's a great idea. I love to hear that.
That code's open source too, so I don't know. I'm assuming Dude or Boolean could even just submit that PR with little effort and just get that bag level on Loot Exchange relatively soon.
I love that idea.
Yeah, if you don't have that GitHub source or if you can't find it, dude, let me know. I have it starred on my account.
Okay, thank you.
That really is just a perfect metaphor for the dream of composability. and just dream of permissionlessness too. I love to see that.
Great.
Yeah. Thanks.
I am biased. My bag is number 5 on your leaderboard there. So obviously, after this call, I'm going to hustle to try to get to number 1. Damn.
I mean, honestly, I like snooped the historical XP kind of before this launch. Like, I saw like the Rift GitHub, and then I saw when he committed it. And it's not surprising that if you look at all the floor bags and like the NFTX and OpenSea, all of those are scheduled to receive 0 XP. And then meanwhile, anyone receiving a lot of XP, like the cheapest bag is like 20 ETH. Because it's like the people that are using their bags the most are providing the most value and also value their bags the most. Like it's, this data, if you look deep into it, it is really, really nice in that it reflects the bi-directional value proposition of the Loop participants and the Loop projects that are building around Loop.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Absolutely thrilled by this idea. It sounds like a, I probably shouldn't call this, but social credit leaderboard is that you can really tell who is the most active, most collaborative community members out there, and that definitely brings something definitely super unique to Loot rather than other NFTs. And I don't think I've seen anything like this in other NFT projects.
Yeah, I agree completely, Hill. Yeah, and that's why I reached out on the Adventure Gold Discord to post an idea about a collab, because I think what Adventure Gold is doing is quite unique and continuing to push the line between relationships between ERC 721s and ERC 20s. And I think Adventure Gold and the Rift combined creates even more unique opportunities that just, push this whole space forward and set an example for other projects.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll obviously talk more about Adventure Go later on, but this is some great ideas. I tremendously love it.
Hey, Hill, since you have the mic, maybe we should just flip to Adventure Gold now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not sure whether that's...
Yeah, dude, you're wrapped up here, right?
All right.
Yeah, all done.
Sweet. That's really cool stuff. Thank you for sharing that, and congrats on getting that out. Hill, I think take it away. People are excited to hear.
Okay, so yeah, I'll probably quickly share the Adventure Go roadmap and give you guys a sneak peek of what the team has been achieved for the past few weeks. We do have a front end of website setting up, so looking forward to get some feedback from that. So I'll do a quick screen share, and I have to select quality or something. Yeah, I'll just do it. You guys see the screen?
Yep. All good.
Beautiful. Yeah, so this is our new article. It's our 2022 roadmap. For anyone who's haven't read the whole thing, it's a pretty long thing, so I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but going to some main points. And if you want to check out the full thing, go to our Mirror, eagle.eth on Mirror, and probably also check out the link on Eagle Twitter. There's a tweet about it. And then so basically talk about the history, current situation, and some concern from the community, which we've been trying to address for the past few months. And the primary item obviously is the roadmap. So the first thing we're gonna do is to enable loot and unloot staking. This is what the community has been voted for. So we previously passed the AGIP1, which is the mild inflation and staking. So that's the first thing we're gonna achieve. And after this thing goes live, we're gonna enable the snapshot vote for the Adventure Gold improvement proposal 3. So that will be our bonding proposal that's been released November last year, and there's been tons of discussion going through. But basically, this is like a bonding mechanism that makes sure the value gets circulated back, so that the whole economic system is sustainable. And after that snapshot vote goes on, we're going to, obviously set up Mirror official Twitter, which is already done, and then front-end UI, which I'm going to show a bit of it later on, and then hopefully we can later on collab with other Loopers NFTs, and this is certainly super exciting. And eventually we're gonna do liquidity incentives so that people can have a fair chance of buying these say, for example, Uniswap instead of having to go to all kinds of other exchanges. And actually, kind of surprised me that AdventureGo has pretty good liquidity on exchanges, including Binance and Huobi and OK. So it's if you have a centralized exchange account, it's going to be pretty easy for you to get access to AdventureGo. So basically, we're gonna enable staking, which is for loot and mLoot, and it's probably just gonna be better for me to talk about it on the front end. So this is something that's thanks to the community contributor Mike, who is project founder. He actually brought on part of his own team to do this. So huge shout out to Mike, and really appreciate his help on AdventureGo side. So basically, this is our front end that enables some loot and mLoot staking. The UI is not completely finished. Everything is unfinished basically. So if you look at the numbers, they kind of don't make a whole lot of sense. But I'll go through what the team has been building for the past few weeks. So obviously this enables you to stake your loot and mLoot. For example, so this is on Rickaby testnet, and then you can just mint whatever loot and mLoot you want on there. And so on this test account, I have, luckily on testnet, bag 69, and then so this is my 3 loot on the testnet and 3 mLoot on the testnet. So every epoch you'll be able to stake it, and then so here we have a time to reward, which on testnet is set to 10 minutes. But obviously on mainnet we're going to go to the 1 week epoch. So here you see you have like 7 days left, 5 days left, etc. And then this number doesn't make sense; it's wrong. And then so the first thing you want to do is click and select how the loot bags you have. So for example, here I select 3, and then I click stake. This thing doesn't work because when we are deploying the testnet contract, is somehow hard-coded to 2 days, so it has been expired. But we're gonna release another testnet contract for the community to test on, and that will have a longer time period. So basically, you're going to stake those 3 items, and then wait for a whole week, and then within that 7 days, you have an expected churn gold that will be able to be claimed after this 7 days has gone past, and then you can always you can accumulate the reward. For example, so you have to do this once a week. So every week you come back here, you click stake. And then this is actually non-custodial staking. It means that the bag does not leave your wallet. You can still use your loot to, do anything else, such as, go to Rift, mint a crystal, accumulate your mana, do all the things, etc. Just so that this is non-custodial, and then you can kind of come here, sign up, hey, I'm here, tell Ego you're here once a week, and then after 7 days, you accumulate a certain amount of A gold, and the same thing applies for mLoot. You can select them and stake them as well, and then the amount of reward you get is proportional to the floor market cap of, in this case, loot and mLoot. So, for example, in this case, we calculate the floor price. Well, this is for Tesla, obviously. So this is a hard-coded floor price for loot, and we calculate the floor market cap by just timing this up with the total amount of loot, and then comparing that to the total floor market cap of mLoot. Well, obviously in this case, loot is definitely pretty dominant. So in this case, 99% of these epochs of AdventureGo release will go to loot. And then, so in this case, I'm the only one using a testnet here. So of my 3 loot will be getting the AdventureGo release of this period. And then I can see this is the historic amount of AdventureGo I've earned, but later on there will be another number showing that the total amount of AdventureGo you have been accumulated for the past few weeks. And then if you want to claim it, you can just click claim, and then you can select the bags of this should be showing, say, for example, if I have been staking the above 2 bags, so number 69 and 78, if I have been holding them for a while and, for example, staking them for like 5 weeks, and perhaps on the 3rd week I just bought another bag and I'll be staking that, and this will only show 2. And then, so in this page, you'll calculate the total amount of A gold you will be able to claim, and then you can just click once in like a few weeks or something. So it will save you some gas, and ultimately this will become like a universal basic income, as previously talk about in previous town halls and probably in the roadmap, that like this serves basically treats all loot as equal, and then treats all M loot as equal, and then so you'll be able to claim your A gold from here after selecting all the bags, and then you'll get your reward. So basically, this is our very early stage testnet UI. So in the future, after it's launched, obviously all the numbers will be corrected. You'll be able to check out more information on on the bags and stuff. But ultimately, we want to make this like a weekly. Instead of town hall, town square call, I would prefer to call it like a weekly gathering of all the loot community. So given this adventure gold reward, you all have a reason to come here, come to the website, and then click stake like once a week or something. And then the opportunity to collab with other loot NFT and ultimately, to bring value to the entire loot ecosystem comes from the weekly attention. So assuming this reward is enticing enough, everyone who holds a loot or everyone who holds an M loot will have the incentive to come to the website to click stake, once a week. So they will have the opportunity to see everything in the process. So they'll be able to see the information on this section of the website, which we just say staking, and then they will have to click this button, which can, later on be converted to some tasks or something. For example, perhaps it can be a link that requires to go to the Rift website first to have a look at them, and then come back, and then you can claim. So in this way, we'll be able to bring a lot of the loot, community traffic towards the loot, perhaps community projects that need some help, or some needed attention that help bootstrap a lot of the projects. And we're open to discussion to all kinds of mechanics. So if we display logos of projects on that will be just pure advertisements, which is not very innovative. And if we make this something, if we make this click stake procedure a very complicated procedure, for example, perhaps you need to go to a project's website to do a few tasks, that will be even more obnoxious. So we're still considering what is like the best way to bring the loot community attention towards places that might be useful and valuable to the lootverse, and at the same time not to be very annoying. So we're still exploring on that, but this is basically the idea, is that we have this universal basic income available for all the loot and M loot, and perhaps later on other NFTs. For example, you might be able to select, this is wrong, this should be more loot. Anyway, so you might have Genesis loot down there, and then perhaps realms, whatever NFTs in the loopers down there, they might also be enabled. That will obviously be decided by the community. But then, so through this, we hopefully is able to, give a reason for all the community members to come to one place once a week. That will foster the attention, and then this will provide all those NFT a little bit of A gold as money they can spend. So perhaps some projects can support using A gold as kind of a currency, since all the NFTs have it, and the limitation is only our imagination, I guess, and we're open to discussion on all kinds of ideas. How can we foster the attention? How can we make it useful and valuable? And then in what way can we work with other NFT projects? So this is definitely something we're super excited to share. It's finally coming into shape. It has been like 7 months or like a few months since we have this economic proposal. And by the way, I haven't seen this in any other NFTs out there. So, it has been, I guess this is like super unique to Lootverse, because it's basically converting all those loot bags and loot bags into people who have income. This is actually the universal basic income, which is very low, very fundamental, but it's universal to all. And then, looking into the Rift design, I can definitely see that the mana token is kind of like, income for those who work hard, who really contribute, spend their effort to make sure the community is a vibrant one. And then that will kind of be like, income for higher income people who work hard, who know how to work smart, etc. And then so in that case, if you have a loot bag, you have two income streams now. You have the Rift and you have the Eagle after this is enabled. This hasn't been going online. But in the future, you have two income streams natively. And then imagine more people joining with more tokens as income streams in some other mechanics. Our loot bags will be making tons of income streams, and I believe this will trigger tremendous innovation when it comes to other projects who wish to use some of the income or allow the bags to use some of the income. So yeah, this is a sneak peek of what's coming on. We're going to release a public version of this website on testnet so that the community can join to test and then test out the functions, see all the figures are correct, and then we should be able to get this onto mainnet and launch in less than a few weeks, I suppose. So yeah, that has been the loot staking and from UI side, and so by the basically final long page of the roadmap, we hopefully can collaborate with other Lootverse NFTs and basically make sure this universal basic income becomes something that's truly universal in the entire Lootverse, and make sure the Lootverse is the most prosperous out of all NFTs out there. So I guess that's my screen share, and we welcome any feedback, any communications from the community, and if you're interested, hop into the AGold channel or just go to AGold Discord directly to talk to us. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
Yeah, I think this new ankle design is amazing. I was fairly surprised to see that when the token was launched, they just did a one-time airdrop, because I felt like this is such a stronger model to continue to align NFT holders with the token. Like what we saw with Loot, just airdrop everybody a token, they can sell it, and over time, those two communities don't necessarily maintain synchronization. But with this model, you continue to align the two, and so yeah, I think AGold definitely innovated on creating relationships between ERC20s and 721s, and I feel like this represents really the next evolution for that model. And I'm very excited about what you guys have done here, Hill. I'm very excited to see this get released, and what other utility this unlocks. I mean, it really does feel like the resurgence of AGold, and I'm quite excited by that.
Appreciate that. I mean, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. If we were to, Will was kind of, he was kind of regret about, just issuing all tokens airdrop to everyone all at once. Well, that kind of obviously separated the two communities for those who held on and for those who just dump immediately. I think it does have some kind of benefits. First of all, it just makes the AGO token really hot, and then, you got listed on all kinds of exchanges that basically just quickly expand the community reach, to so many people beyond the 8,000 loot bags and, some even more M loot bags. And then that obviously brings a lot of attention to the loot community. So to some extent, it has some benefits. But yeah, if we haven't just airdrop everything, we will have more room to work with. But, this kind of gives us more pressure to make sure we bring out something good so that we have less room to work with, and then, we can only survive if we bring out something really innovative and, the world hasn't really seen before. So yeah, I'm going to say, hopefully this thing works out, and, if the universal basic income thing works out for the Lootverse, I would imagine this thing to be copied over by a lot of the other NFTs, which is a milestone for even the crypto industry as a whole.
Absolutely. And the non-custodial element is a really nice touch, because it allows us to continue to, adventure out and use the bag instead of just locking it up permanently in the AGO contract. So, yeah, kudos for innovating on that element as well.
Yeah, like that's the point of universal basic income. And I mean, the government can give you money for two reasons. Either you work for the government or they give you a universal basic income. And we don't want to be the government where everyone just works for. And we want to foster the individual utility of each loot bag or, other NFT in the loopers. So this is the approach we take.
I have a quick question just about the smart contract design. How will you be reading in the difference between the floor price in more loot and loot? Will you be using some kind of oracle for that?
Yeah, definitely that is for more future design. I mean, for now, we're trying to get this listed, get this smart contract online as soon as possible. So initially, we're going to basically manually input the proportion of reward distributed between loot and loot, and then we'll just calculate it in hand and then put it on there for the initial first few weeks, I guess. But
Okay.
Obviously, we're trying to explore some more decentralized approach. But just want to get this thing started. And after we have a reliable oracle that tells us the floor price of loot and other NFTs, we're definitely open to implement that as soon as possible.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. So I guess if we don't have any further questions, I'll hand the mic back to Kim Sha.
Amazing. Well, Hill, I'll say welcome back. I know you've been working quietly in the background and have popped in a couple times, but this is just a really exciting moment for the world. Do you have an ETA? Sorry if I missed this, but is there an ETA in terms of the date that people should put on their calendars or look out for in terms of being able to hop on and actually start interacting?
I don't have anything concrete on paper, but we're gonna open up the testnet, the testnet version of this website to welcome community testing in a few days, and then we're obviously going to do some security testing, etc., and then hopefully we can get this on in a few weeks. It kind of depends on the development progress, so I'm not too sure, but you can definitely test this thing out in a few days on Wikibee testnet.
You have posted contracts in the Adventure Gold Discord, both the
I haven't posted yet, but
contracts.
You mean the contract for loot and A gold on Wikibee? Yeah, I'm gonna post it in a few days after we can release this thing for community testing. It's going to be there soon.
Okay, great. Yeah, it'd be great for as many of us as possible to really help test that on Wikibee. Make sure it's iron tight.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, we welcome any kind of collaborative effort. I appreciate it.
Can the Rift grant XP for that?
Pardon? Can it reform?
I was about to say the same thing.
Can the Rift say that somebody participated in rank B testing for a loot project? I wonder. It's not a Rift. It needs to be discussed here now, but I know Jude's listening. So. That is a public good.
Hey Hill, I love your idea too that this becomes almost a weekly ritual. That for 6 months now we've been getting together almost every week to have this call, and we do it out of the love of the Lootverse, and we do it because there's alpha here and excitement and collaboration and opportunities to work together and share and critique. But the idea of all of us coming together to click a button together feels like praying at the altar of the Lootverse or something. So I feel mostly this call is asynchronous, but maybe something special about doing something synchronously at the same time each week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the ritual can be more complicated than clicking a button, but trying to make it not obnoxious.
Yeah, but I don't mean to diminish it by clicking a button. Sometimes clicking buttons can be really fun.
Mm-hmm. No worries.
All right, man. Well, thank you for sharing. It's really cool stuff. We have a lot to get through today, and I think I'm just going to say that we probably won't get through all of it. We have 7 more things to go. Grand Bazaar, Tabletop, Meta Dungeon, Portals and Passage, Crypt, Helms, and Super Cool. I'm actually on vacation with my fam right now, so I'm probably going to hop off. But Andrew, you can keep driving here and I think once everyone runs out of steam, maybe just call it. And we can just put another call early next week.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Or just do asynchronous in chat as well. But so much good stuff here. I'm so proud of everybody. This is incredible. Next up, who should we do? Who's on here that could speak?
Let's go to Portals.
Black Mamba, you're at the top of the list. I see Black Mamba. Oh, Portals?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Either way. I see both. I think that's Black Mamba. Black Mamba, why don't you go? I don't think we've heard as much about Grand Bazaar.
Sweet. I will share. There we go. So a little bit of background. I'm creating this Discord native marketplace for NFT communities, and this is something that I pitched in the general channel a couple weeks ago. Seemed like I got a lot of good traction and recommended to pitch it during the Loot Town Square. So here I am. I'll just walk through it a bit. Then, I would love to get any suggestions or advice if there is interest on how to get this added onto the server, or like what kind of next steps there are. But I'll just jump right in. So, Grand Bazaar, as I mentioned, is a Discord native marketplace for NFT communities to ensure secure and efficient transactions in their community Discord servers. So essentially just a way to streamline the trading channel that you currently have. So right now, this was really just a pitch deck for investors. So the wording it's not really directed to communities themselves, but I'm still going to use it to go over everything. So just some context, right? You have this trading channel, and especially in other servers. I see it less so in Loot. There's a lot of scams, and it's all just free-form text. So if you want to trade or sell your NFT, then you just post a link, or you say, hey, I'm open to offers, and then you hope that people DM you back, and you can come to some agreement on price, share your OpenSea link or something, and then go from there. And so the goal of this bot is to streamline that process. So it would look like this, where you still have a verify channel and you still have the buy-sell channel. You can call it trading, whatever you want. You list the NFT, and the bot will list it. Will list the title, list the price, and then will allow you to either buy the NFT outright, or you can click negotiate. And clicking negotiate creates a private channel between the buyer and the seller. So you don't have to go back and forth with adding someone, DMing them. Also, a lot of scams happen in DMs, so this is just another way to help avoid scams. And because we're verifying the NFTs as well, you also know that what you're buying is actually a part of the collection. It's actually real loot. And then an option to donate to a treasury or something. This button could be anything. It could be donating to a charity as well, or it could be removed entirely. And this bot would be deployed ideally on the Loot server, or any other derivative projects as well. Just trying to get this out there, since there doesn't seem to be any other solution. So I covered this a lot, but this bot increases security. It minimizes purchasing friction in general for purchasing NFTs. It also reduces the NFT transaction fees. So I didn't cover this yet, but just outright, if you're going to buy it through ETH, then we're going to charge. But right now, the idea is charging 2%, so less than OpenSea. It's also negotiable with the community, especially a decentralized community like Loot. We're happy to lower that as well. And we're also working with other stablecoins. So, for example, we're about to sign a deal with Beanstalk, which is a decentralized credit-based stablecoin. Very, very interesting project. But where essentially, if you purchase the NFT using their stablecoin, then we wouldn't charge a fee at all. So it could reduce the fees entirely. It also eliminates gas during negotiation. So instead of having to do some kind of auction or bidding process, you could just click negotiate, chat with people directly. All happens through Discord, so no gas. And then ultimately our vision to just enable NFT communities to build their own online store. So I know that we already have our own online store, but it's mostly just utilizing OpenSea and their API. So this would be your own actual store directly. You could either just have a subdomain on our URL, or it could be added to your own URL. And we'd give you the tools to customize the website to your liking. So it wouldn't look like this. You'd be able to change the logo, change the text, change, and eventually change pretty much everything you want, like a Shopify or Squarespace, for example. Here I just have some screenshots going through the flow of what it looks like. It's easier to show through screenshots than showing live because you have to switch back and forth between the buyer and seller. I'll skip the verifying your wallet since that pretty much just like Collabland works the same way. Listing the NFT, so first you'd go to the website, and again, this could be customized to the community's liking. You click sell, and then you get these options to choose your price, choose the duration that you want, and if you want it to be listed just on Discord or also on the blockchain to enable the buy now feature. And you would just verify with MetaMask. And then, just like I showed you before, the NFT would be the bot would list the NFT on the trading channel, just like this. Purchasing works very similar way. You click the buy now button, you confirm the transaction on Discord, which just links you to the website so that you can confirm it on MetaMask. And yes, now you own the NFT. And as well, the bot deletes the listing and any of the channels that were created for the negotiation process. And then lastly, the negotiation process. I'll just show you this final screen right here. As I mentioned before, so the first person who clicks negotiate, it'll create a server, or it'll create a channel category for the NFT. So the example I've been using is the heart project. So so you're trying to sell heart number 2, the channel category will be called heart number 2. And then the seller will see all of the channels that they're a part of, and the buyer will just see their own. And these are all private channels. Now, of course, admins and mods will have access to all of these, just make sure they're kosher, but nobody else will, to keep the server organ. And yeah, once the NFT is sold, the bot automatically deletes all of it. And you can change the price. That's just one. I won't go through that, but it works just as you would expect. And right now, this is just an MVP, so we're going to be testnet. We haven't launched it on the mainnet. We're waiting for to fix some bugs and to just clean up the front end because we just want to get something working. So it's not completely ready for prime time, but let's say give it a month or 2 at most, and it'll be in a great state. And it'll also have gone through a smart contract audit as well, since, as I say here, security is the #1 priority, especially on Discord. We all know how many scams there are in Discord. So a few things that we'll do: the Discord bot confirms the listings, so you know that what you're buying is real. The bot will also encourage users to use 2-factor authentication just as a default. And moving forward, especially if we can get this on Loot and other large projects, we'll establish a bounty program, and we'll definitely be conducting several security audits of the smart contract, and we'll continuously do so. And yeah, that's pretty much all I really wanted to cover. But I really wanted to pitch this as something. And again, since it's still in development, like none of this is necessarily final. It's something. Like, the whole idea is that we'd like to work with the communities in building a solution that works with them, rather than just being something like just a Discord opens. So that's the project. And again, when I pitched it in the general channel, some things that people liked were the security aspect and the decentralized aspect, which is also why we want to partner with the Beanstalk, the decentralized stablecoin, just in that same ethos. But I got a chance to pitch it here. Definitely looking forward to hearing what your thoughts are, questions, concerns, anything. I'll open the floor.
All right, really, really interesting, Black Mamba. Thanks for sharing. I just want to keep things moving here. If anyone has questions or thinks of questions as we continue, please share those in the general channel. And Black Mamba, maybe share. Yeah, someone's asking, is there a Discord? Maybe share, any information or Discord information or things like that in the general channel.
Yeah, sure thing. And just a quick question for you. Who would be a good contact for next steps?
That's a good question. I don't know, what does everyone think? I think maybe you might have mentioned this. Have you posted to Loot Talk or anything? The forum?
It might actually be easier to move Black Mamba within one of the sub-communities, like either Genesis Project or Realms. Right? Like Loot itself is very decentralized, and so it's like, who should you ask? It's like, it's not really like a specific person, but within like Genesis Project or Realms or any of these sub-communities, there is a little bit more of a leadership group. And I think it'd probably be easier within one of those groups if you wanted to try to get a little bit more adoption.
That's a good idea.
Okay, thanks. That's a good idea. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and probably starting with the groups that have higher volumes would tend to make sense. So, Genesis Project, Realms, Crypto Caverns. The Crypt is also another good example. I mean, volume is still somewhat low, but it's a newer community, and so it's sometimes nice to experiment with lower volume so that things aren't quite as crazy, and if there are any issues, they can be addressed easily. So, those would be my suggestions.
Sweet. Appreciate it.
Great. All right. Let's move on to another new project, Portals and Passages. Nuix, are you still on here?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Andrew. Very excited to present today. Let me try to set up the screen share. Can you see my screen now?
I see it.
Excellent. So, Portals and Passages is a new project I've been working on for the past 3 months. Very excited to present, and on this front page you have a piece of portal art by Misfit, who I really thank for that. Really cool to be able to have that on the front page. So before I dive right in, a quick disclaimer. So as you can hear, I'm not a native English speaker. So please excuse me in advance for any awkward choice of words or missing nuances, or I do my best. So let's dive at it. So to start with, just a quick glance. I won't spend too long on that one, just to give you a flavor of what the atmosphere of Portals and Passages could be, kind of a teaser to get your attention somehow. So let's move on, and I'll start with why this project, and I'll start with 2 quotes. First, a quote from Crypto Caverns website by Threepwave. So this about this triplets, people, places, and things needed to form a compelling gaming experience. really great framework, which I kept in mind. And now another one from the Loot Foundation website. So maybe from Tim Shell or Loot Hero, I don't know, about this expanding universe that is the Lootverse, and the need for cohesion, for it to be a cohesive universe with a set of principles maintaining this cohesion. And so at some point I crossed those two frameworks, and I thought maybe we could sort of an addition to that, a new component that would be to make it possible for project creators that want to enforce a cohesion of space and time in their games or their projects. It would be cool if they could have a component to handle movement of characters across places and eras. And at the time I started the project, I couldn't find one, and since then there's one project that's called Mounts, which I think we'll present in a week or two, starting to address that too, and that's cool. And so why could that be interesting for some? I think that's an open ecosystem, right? So any new component might be interesting anyway. To have a larger number of elements for new creators and builders. But I thought specifically of types of usage that would be, I don't know the right English name, but I would call that meta games, like experiences or games which connects together different games and experiences. And for some of those games, it could be interesting to be able to handle movement of characters across the different places or across different time eras in a cohesive way, right? So, for example, one thing which you will see in the roadmap, I would really like to work on with Portals and Passages would be a pilgrimage for adventurers to visit all the wonders. So that would connect different projects, different universe, and obviously to make that, to give some sense to such a pilgrimage, you have to make travel and distance matter, right? If your adventurer can be instantly from a second to the next wonder, it doesn't really make sense. You cannot really create that. So that's kind of my first use case I want to work in there. And so other examples I put on the screen here, but which is just kind of inspiration. So going after the lost level of greatness, or going after the hidden sentence, which is something I teased on Twitter a couple of days ago. So yeah, basically that's it. That's what Portals and Passages want to be, a building block for movement of characters across places and eras. And if possible, generic to on-chain ecosystems, not only loot, but applied to loot to start with. And the reason it's not like a dedicated loot project close to that universe is that I think, and that's also part of the feedback I got, it could be really cool if at some point Portals and Passages could be integrated in other ecosystems, on-chain ecosystems, and manage to create bridges, to create connections for meta games across ecosystems. That would be really cool to have characters travel in time or space that way. So, okay, so we've seen the kind of why this project started, which is the main concept. Now let's dive right into what portals are, and I start with the backstory. So you can, I hope, recognize on the screen the meta timeline of the Lootverse, which you can look at the details on the Loot Foundation website. And so across the eras, the backstory is that the portals were built and enchanted by mage, by enchanters, and different factions of enchanters which competed at the time to build these magical portals and passages all across the Lootverse. And when the network of portals was established, then adventurers traveled through them from realm, to dungeons, to wonders, etc. And under the and portals were somehow managed or attended to by specific guilds of adventurer, which I call guilds of navigator, kind of an homage to another fantasy universe, which I really like. And so, of course, then it was the Mist and the Cataclysm event, and all the portals were like forgotten, lost, abandoned, but not entirely, as their existence, fragments about their existence survived, like in legends and tales. So it was not entirely forgotten, which enables that in the age of adventure where we are at now, and the Ludverse is rising again, the Council of the 16 Orders and the Guild of Navigators decided to locate the portals and revive them and unearth the portal and put them back into function. So that's the backstory, and now really quickly a quick zoom on these ancient schools of enchantment, because that's like an addition to the story we know. And I wanted to explain that I really tried to make that as compatible as possible with like the canonical OG loot contract structures. So I won't go into details. I know we are running out of time today, but very quickly, where does these 8 enchantment schools come from? So you know that there are 18 weapon types, and 8 of them are mage weapons, 4 mage of light and 4 mage of dark. And you know that the top 2 greatness items have a prepended name. Like they are named items, and those names are composed of prefix name and suffix name. So there are 69 prefix name, 18 suffix name. And so the cool thing that it's not that really known is that the 18 suffix name are one-on-one connected with the weapon types. So when you have, for example, a grimoire, which is the strongest mage of light weapon, if it's a named grimoire, the suffix name is always going to be peak, and the prefix name is always going to be among a group of 23, which are referred to on the screen by Demon, Dragon, and Phoenix, like the mythical creatures, which are some of the prefixes and kind of are highlights of their group. So that's how we built the ancient enchantment schools, 4 with a light attunement, 4 with a dark attunement, and with some kind of hierarchy corresponding to the weapon strength. So just I thought it was cool to dive a bit into the lore for the lore nerds, if there are some lore nerds on the call today, and really happy to discuss that in more detail if some of you are interested or find some better coherence that they want to share, because nothing is set in stone. We can still adjust a number of things on the project. So now quickly on the portal characteristics. So there's this enchantment lineage, which we just covered, and they all have an enchantment gem, which is like a special gem that receives the magic. And the enchantment gems are made of materials which are either the resources from realms, the resources from crypts and caverns, not exactly all of them, because some are not really fit for being gems, like wood, but most of them, and a handful of new resources that we introduced with the project. Portals comes with a number of facets. This is a number of other portals they can be connected to. So it's either 1, which is the most common, 2, which is rare, or 3, and that is exceptional. They come with a number of ancient imprints, which is a bit mysterious. Imprints that could maybe back in the days received mana crystals or any other artifacts. It's a bit mysterious. Nobody knows for now. And they come with a type, either man-made artifact or natural point of interest, a name. This is sophisticated constructions like other projects of the ecosystem, and an order affinity among 30 orders that we introduce with the project specific to portals and passages. They come with like sit in an environments, like the 6 environments from crypts and caverns. and they have a location on the map in the world, which I will cover in a minute. And 16 of them are legendary wonder portals, which are very, very special. So we've covered characteristics. So now maybe step back, and I want to show you what we plan in terms of project mechanisms and a roadmap for the key contracts that we're working on. So right now we are focusing most efforts on the rediscovery contract, corresponding in the backstory to locating and unearthing the portals. So portals are going to be randomly generated on chain at time. They will come with an SVG visual presentation stored on chain too. And about the location now. So we thought it would be really cool if the mapping, the spatial distribution of portals could be generated on-chain in a decentralized way. So the idea is that when you mint a portal, you define where it's located, either in a realm or close to a dungeon. That's the only two ecosystems or games for now that we're going to support at rediscovery time. But in the future, the contract will make it possible to add new ecosystems and to change the location of a portal, if that makes sense, meaning if you change ecosystems, not within the same one, it wouldn't make too much sense. Then, once the portals are unearthed and rediscovered, the objective is to put them into function, right? So to enchant them and put some strong magic in their enchantment gems to make travel through them possible, right? So the idea is to be able to connect a portal facet with another portal facet to create a travel route in between. That's for spatial travel. It's a bit different from time travel, but I won't cover it here. And then once portals are rediscovered and put into function, then we can start using them into concrete quests, use case like the Wonders Pilgrimage, which I mentioned in the introduction. I think that would be really cool if there could be kind of quest to travel with your adventurer through the different realms and places to reach the Wonders and get your pilgrim stamp and maybe receive some special XP or an art representation of the Wonder you visited or something of that sort. That would be quite cool. But this is still really, really early because we're focusing on the rediscovery for now and a bit on the enchantment already. So that's it. And to conclude, maybe just a sneak peek of what we hope could be the future. So it would be really cool. We really dream of and really make it an objective of the project to get the portals on the Atlas. That would be really cool. So you can see those little thumbnails. That would really fit with the story, the concept we're trying to create. So I hope we can chat with the Realm Atlas team about that. Started exchanging a few messages with a few, and I hope we can further this conversation, and I can understand the requirement to push a PR on the Atlas repo, etc. And finally, a big thank you to many people. So all the builders and the voices of the Lootverse, because that's really an awesome work you're doing, guys, and great inspiration to spark ideas and create new projects for that. Big thanks to those who took the time to provide constructive feedback, and I know I'm a bit stubborn in asking for feedback, so thank you very much for having taken the time. And also a big thank you to many people who shared kind words and helped fuel the motivation for the project. So that's it. I'm done. Here are the links to social networks, the Discord, etc. The website if you want to know more about the characteristic and the lore of the project, etc. And thank you very much for the opportunity to present. And really happy to further any discussion, answer any questions. It's really open project to incorporate some feedback or ideas, so don't hesitate. Thank you very much.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Nuix, thanks for sharing. It's exciting, and like I really appreciate like the deep lore and like the really thoughtful like storytelling behind this. Like I got really excited on that page 8. The enchantment schools. Just I don't know. It's inspiring. A lot of thoughts about how to tell stories behind this project, which is exciting.
It's also so cool because it's like the vision of the hyperverse. The hyperverse comes from like hyperlink, right? Like the linking between mythologies. So it's like a literal link between universes. But it's just like, oh my gosh! Yeah, I really love this.
And I'm thinking about
nice to hear.
Like with Divine, we're working on this story of this divine city, and hopefully creating this like very high fidelity like place within the Lootverse. And so I've been thinking about like how people travel, between that city which is floating in the sky and the realms. And we have this idea of a gateway, but I love the idea of like hidden portals around this floating city that can sort of take you to different places around the realms.
That would be really cool, yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again, Nuix. Please share. I think you don't have a outpost yet. I don't think.
I would love to have one.
Yeah.
What's the procedure?
I will create one right after this call.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. All right, let's keep it going. Let's see. Let's hear from Michael with Helms.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name's Mikhail. Let me do a screen share as well. I see I haven't done a screen share on Discord before, so I need to give it permissions. I might have to do a restart quickly. Give me a second. Hi, am I back?
We can hear you.
Great. Let me do a screen share. Can you guys see?
I see you.
Perfect. So this project, I've been wanting to hop on the call for a couple of weeks, but it's kind of conflicted with some work meetings or other things. This project is actually the work of my brother, Marcel, who's a 3D artist. And he's been kind of dipping his toe into the NFT space, not super involved. It's been more myself who keeps up to date with what's happening and these type of things. And I was chatting to him about the Loot project in December of last year, and it kind of captured his imagination, the fact that there are all of these items and they still need to be designed. The visual element still needs to be created by the community. And so we were discussing designing one of the item types in the Lootverse. And I think in the weeks after that, we were thinking about the idea, and soon after the Rings project launched. And so we got a lot of inspiration seeing how the Rings team approached the different designs for Rings and the way they opened them up as CC0 3D objects, which can be used in games and future projects. And so we decided to go ahead and start this project. So my brother has designed, we've divided it into 3 different phases. And so if I go to our About page here, the different phases for distribution are initially the common helms. There are 1,923 common helms. These are the helm, full helm, great helm, and ancient helm, and the ornate helm, which I missed. Then in phase 2, there will be the epic helms, and then the legendary and mythic helms. And at this point, Marcel has designed the first 5 common helms, and so you can see the 3D view here on the website. Each of them are 3D GLB objects, and both the GLB and the OBJ files will be available for download. That was the helm. We have the full helm. We have the ornate helm. The great helm. And then my favorite one, the ancient helm. And the cool thing is that OpenSea actually natively displays these GLB objects as well. And so if we have a look at it on OpenSea, you can see you also have these interactive 3D objects. And so we're hoping to launch soon. Make our mark in the sand, get this project off the ground. We will have it initially only available to claim with loot, and so if you own if you have a loot bag with a matching helm, you can claim, and then after that we will open it up to the public at a higher price. So the pricing is on the about page as well. We have here the price to claim with the loot bag is 0.02 ETH, and the public mint price will be 0.05 ETH for these common helms. And soon after that, we hope to continue work on these next set of helms, which will then be made available in phase 2 and 3. And that's it. Any questions?
Looks cool. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, if there's any questions, just share them in the general chat.
Great, perfect. Yeah, and the idea is just to start getting these 3D objects out there for people to use in their projects. And this was kind of the first, when we thought of what is the simplest way we can get this project off the ground, kind of gauge what the enthusiasm is of the community. We thought this is a great starting point.
Cool. All right. Let's see. Sportsbeard, are you still here?
Yeah, still here, and I'll be quick.
Cool.
Thanks for having us on. Let me see if this works. Can you see my screen?
I see it.
Cool. So, Chapter 3 of the Crypt, we're releasing any day. It might be out before the weekend, or it might be next week. Fixing up a few last issues, but the headlines of Chapter 3 of the Crypt are two things. One is that we've changed our blockchain mix and our tech stack, so we've got free raiding. So that's free to raid and no gas costs, which we think is like a significant experiment for us in kind of a move towards frictionless gaming with NFTs, but also away from decentralization. We want to be decentralized in the future, but this is an interesting chapter of experiment, and the benefit, hopefully, to owners of loot is that they get to participate without spending anything. And the other exciting thing is that we now support all 3 major loot types: loot, more loot, and genesis. And in Chapter 3, they're coming together to collaborate to raid the dungeons. So you can see, so this is just running on my local machine, kind of a test set of dungeons in progress for the Crypt Chapter 3. You can see at the top here, so it's also the 4th and final material of relics being revealed. We've had gold, ice, and fire through our competitions, and we've now got the jade relics, including the rarest of our relic types, the skull. I think the jade skull is pretty cool. And there'll be 84 of those to win in this chapter. But if we go and look at some of these dungeons here, you might see that there's the Dungeon of Skill is already on level 3, whereas they start on level 1. If you go to a level 1 dungeon, so Dungeon of Titans here, I'll zoom back out, we can see that loot is required to raid level 1. Once level 1 is defeated, you go to a dungeon that's made it to level 2. So once the loot have defeated the horde, which is the enemies of the dungeon, then we've got the more loot need to come in and get through the passageways and navigate the floors of the dungeon. And once that's completed, the final level opened and Dungeon of Skill is for to the soulless and the demigods, which are responsible to defeat. There's lots more to say about what we've done with the scoring system and the way relics are awarded. Hopefully it's going to be a good, fun chapter, bringing a little bit more, in addition to what the previous ones had, lots more collaboration required across different loots, and some cool, rare jade relics to win. But yeah, look out for our outposts in loot or in our own stores for more announcements when we go live with this. Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Sportsbeard. All right, let's keep moving. We're almost there. Stellaris, are you still here?
Yeah. I'll have to go pretty quickly, but I'll just give you guys like a demo of the whole thing for in around 2 minutes, and I'll give you guys more details later. So now let me share my screen. Hold on. Could you see it?
I see Discord.
Yeah. So I'll keep this quick. Lisan and Afan were here, but they have to go now. So basically, I just wanted to show off the game and just explain a little bit about what it is. We haven't integrated the background music yet, but I will drop it later because I don't think we have. I don't think we have time to actually go through the whole. Yeah, I was doing this I didn't know. So right now we don't actually have we don't actually have the mechanics polished out or the visuals polished out, but these are our own sprites, and these are sprites that I have worked on. And basically, I just wanted to show off the mechanics. So basically, I was focusing more on like the RPG aspect of it rather than like just making another, I don't know, a turn-based kind of virtual tabletop or something. So basically, what happens is if you these are the base mechanics. So if you click on that, you can act, speak, or move. We're working on speak, and we're move just like to move. So basically, if you choose to act, now there would actually be like dice roll and everything that's displayed as well, along with like your stats and your modifiers and so on and so forth. But right now we just have more of the like an alpha, like a demo version, just to show like what the mechanics will be like. So if you click at that, the game actually rolls a dice for you, and this actually happened because the dice roll actually met the dice roll was higher than your opponent's armor class. You can actually describe the so for example, you can say I don't know, I'm sticking up the top of my head, I'm saying just a dummy to death, I guess. And click OK. It rolls another dice, it does your damage roll, and basically now the dummy has like 6 health left, and this basically we are implementing like a chat thing too. So right now these aren't very refined mechanics. These are very very early development, but I wanted to get a basic idea of the whole thing out. So let's say you keep on attacking. The dummy will also roll as well. The mechanics will be the same for the dummy. So it's just keep on attacking. So you so yeah, basically once the dummy's health is gone, you would obviously die. So you right now your health is almost gone. And yeah, I'm sorry to like rush this whole thing. I also realized that there are like other people who got to present as well, and also I actually had to go to. I was actually planning on having a design and fun kind of explain like what how to bring this to blockchain. Like the general idea of it is that everything you see on here would be an NFT, even the experiences, the dungeons, and the maps, and so on and so forth. More details about that later. You can just go to our Twitter or go to our Discord server as well. And that's it. I have to hop off now. It was very nice seeing all of your projects. I really like everything that I saw. I hope that I could work with you guys too. I've already spoken to some of you as well. And I think this is very 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 nice, welcoming community. See ya. I'm off now.
See you, Solaris. Glad to have you here. Oh man, we're dropping. All right. Let's see. Meta Dungeon. Is anyone from Meta Dungeon here?
Hi. Yeah. We're all here. It's just that Caroluna specifically isn't here. Love to share.
Okay. Yeah, if you would just want a couple minutes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Almost at 2 hours here.
Okay, so can you guys all see the screen?
It's loading for me.
Okay, perfect. Can you guys see it now? It's still
loading.
All right.
You want to try unsharing and sharing again?
Yeah. Try.
Still not getting it.
Alright. Let me give it to my colleague, and he will share it. Give us 1 second. So yeah, I'd love to start with presenting about Meta Dungeon. I'll just speak about it now, and he'll bring it up eventually. So yeah, we're the Team Autonomy Network. We typically do automated smart contracts, and some of our functions include giving DEXs limit orders, stop losses, and these abilities that centralized exchanges have so that they can double their DEX volume. And because we're specializing in automated smart contracts, we have also delved into the wild west of automated NFTs. And so in delving in automated NFTs, we came up with a game and a name for this, and we decided to share it with the Loot community because you guys are also open and curious to learn, and we'd love to share it with you guys today. So this is our presentation for MetaDungeon. So MetaDungeon is the first player versus blockchain play-to-earn game. So the issue with current play-to-earn today is that there's heavy focus on player versus player, and because there's this heavy focus, it's usually the case where one other player has to lose for another to earn. So we want to really change this dynamic with MetaDungeon. The second is player-to-player. Play-to-earn doesn't really have the team mechanics which make it really, really engaging and fun and community-oriented. And also, there's an absence of interoperability. We think that there's so many NFT projects that are very segmented, and there's not so much of communities joining together and really banding together from different NFT projects. So, for example, Crypto Coven, people may not necessarily know what's going on in the Loot community, and because everything's so siloed, we'd really love to connect different communities and different people who are engaged in and really interested in NFTs and metaverse together. So on-chain automation for NFTs enables active NPCs. So non-playable characters or NPCs in the blockchain allows people to automatically interact with each other independently. There are different dynamics in our game which allow people to wear different or play different characters and also wear different items to battle different bosses. And so wallet interoperability are NFTs that move themselves in and out of the wallet of players, such as ANFTs, and that essentially is the core of what we're presenting today. And there's also dynamic elements that on-chain automation enables, like metaverse wearables that change under arbitrary conditions. So we can set for a t-shirt to change into a raincoat when it rains, or for example, a t-shirt to change into a red color when ETH price is red, or any other arbitrary condition. So this is MetaDungeon, the player versus blockchain game. What we're doing here is maximizing the use case of interoperability and automation protocol. So we're really trying to bring together existing communities on the Ethereum blockchain and provide new on-chain gaming experience that will bridge ecosystems together. So we've touched on these points on previous slides, but our game will allow assets to be interoperable, and NFT projects, assets such as loot lore and different levels of items will be able to be linked together. So holding certain collections will alter in-game attributes like strength and speed. There are many collaborative features, so within the Loot community, you can team up with other players as well and do some of the boss and loot together. There will be true non-player characters, and through automation features, MetaDungeon has NPCs that do not have to be interacted with first. And because of this, there will also be a player versus environment game. So people will be able to experience and benefit from PvE, and other people don't have to lose in order for you to gain. So a little bit, this is the core of how MetaDungeon works and how people will be able to interact with this game. So there'll be 3 sets of NFTs: heroes, bosses, and gears. So heroes is how people within communities will be able to play. So every person who will be whitelisted will need a combination of classic, will be able to group together in order to fight the bosses. And so bosses these are the 8 NFTs that on-chain automation basically powers. These bosses will be able to switch in and out of wallet addresses for the heroes to capture. So because they can transfer themselves in and out, they can be summoned also into wallets for players to defeat and to steal their loot. And gear is a third portion of this game, and these are 8 NFTs that also independently roam around meta dungeon and wallet addresses, so they can transfer themselves in and out of players' wallets, and bosses can also be summoned to players' wallets. And I think we'd really like to discuss here is how Loot Project and what loot should be represented through this gear, what lore should be represented through this gear. So how to play? So first you have to own a hero NFT to play. It can be a special race, for example, human, an elf, or a class like mage and hunter with unique stats. So you have to own a hero NFT, and you'll be able to own a hero NFT by first whitelisting into the game. And we've opened specific whitelist spots just for the loot community. So I'll link them below, and hopefully some of you can come and play with us. How to battle. So there's an item summon. Anytime heroes can summon a boss and leverage a specific NFT. And then once you summon the battle, you can essentially fight the boss or capture the boss for monetary rewards. How to battle. So team summon. You can also summon with a bunch of people within the loot community, and after there's random pairs specific to each boss, you can capture bosses and battle. You can also gain power-ups and hold certain NFTs to gain power, and the magnitude of the power-ups differ based on the NFT project and the rarity and what NFTs are currently. So right now on the roadmap, we've developed the dynamic fight mechanics. We're creating new bosses and levels and adding more and more to the lore as we develop this. There will be varying boss difficulties. These will be determined soon after we push the game out. And currently, right now, we're also developing bosses with different NFT projects. Last week, we hopped on the call of Crypto Codewin, and they're really excited to have one of their High Witch Wiles, as one of the boss NFTs that people can capture in their wallets. So there's a really exciting integration going there, and we really invite everyone to sign up for the whitelist, and we'll be hopping on to more community feature just to update everyone on how we're doing, what new changes there are in the game, and how people can get even more involved. So yeah, eventually our vision is the entire community to be merged, and through Meta Dungeon for people to be able to interact with different people from different communities. And that is the vision for Meta Dungeon. So that's it. We love to entertain questions about how to participate, and have a discussion on maybe perhaps what we could feature for gear or maybe as bosses in the Meta Dungeon game. So thanks for listening, everyone.
Cool. Thank you, Janice. Does anybody have any immediate questions? Otherwise, we're at 2 hours and 5 minutes. We got to put a time limit on these things.
Yeah, I mean, there are just so many interesting projects. Because they're so detailed, too, in the presentation. So yeah. I'll definitely link everything below. And if some of the details went over your head, do not worry. We're coming again next week to talk more about the whitelist and to tell you more about our integration with Crypto Codewin. So, yeah, we'll be back next week.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everyone, for sticking around for so long. Just another great week of interesting projects and surprises and just so much talent. So I'll see you all in Discord, and we'll talk next week.